would not negotiate. Does anything change that fact?
No, no, I don't think it does. Yeah, as I've mentioned, I believe the Russians have been continuously poked, or the the West is trying to bait them into a war or quagmire. And I think the Russians took the
Did
bait.
you
The Russians took the bait this time, and I thought Putin was a lot smarter. Um,
did your dissertation get passed? Was it accepted, or did you have to change it to conform to
yeah.
British foreign
Oh my
policy?
God, and I'm so glad you mentioned that because the feedback I got was that this was Russian propaganda. Me saying me spouting what I was saying, and I also made claims about in 2008 that America armed Georgia and politically supported them in the conflicts, and they claimed that that was a lie also. But I believe you also agree with me on that point. And the results was that number one, the mark I got was considerably lower than expected, and the feedback was very harsh and critical, and labelled me a propagandist, which I was very surprised to hear. And the university in question, King's College London, well-known university, actually I haven't I've been involved in an issue on another matter because they wouldn't let me resubmit my dissertation when I had the opportunity to resubmit it. You're right. I did have to conform to to the liberal interpretation or Western views if I wanted to get a better
Right.
grade. But
So now we know. Now we know that the same corruption that took place in the media and in the judicial system has also spread to the universities, and they are now government agencies that promote government propaganda. Were you able to ask your dissertation advisor whether Britain engages in propaganda? Did you ever ask your dissertation
oh,
advisor if
they
he had
don't
ever read the Daily Mail?
they
Do you
don't
read the Daily Mail on a regular basis? Is that propaganda?
they don't, yeah, well, when the British propaganda is subliminal and
No, it isn't.
yeah,
It's
to
obvious. It's overt.
from
There's
my
nothing
view,
subtle about it.
I can see it, I can see,
There's
and
nothing subtle about this propaganda at all. It's the most flagrant propaganda I've ever seen in my life.
yeah,
There's
and
nothing subtle about it at all.
well, the whole West really, we who are in the West are programmed to think that we have free media, everything is free, and there is no propaganda controlling what we think and what we
Well, do
believe.
you
But
believe that?
definitely
Do you
not,
believe it?
definitely not. I don't.
Okay.
I'm
I
more.
don't believe it either.
Yeah, I'm more on your side on this matter, and this because of my experience at university, around this topic. Which I ended up being right on because I predicted that this a war anyway would erupt. In fact, I predicted a larger scale war than this one. If NATO didn't stop poking the Russian bear, and yeah, and I don't believe, obviously, I don't believe that we live in a even though we are told to believe we live in a free state, or free media landscape. I think we're highly controlled, highly programmed to believe what's the mainstream media and what the government would like in our respective countries in the West, and we live in an illusion that we're free, or we have freedom of choices and thinking, but in fact we don't. Now in Russia, what is the part, and in China even worse. There's nothing subliminal about them. It's all in your face. It's not subtle. It's not. It's you do as I say. You think as we want to think, or you're gonna be in trouble. In the West, it's not like that. They get to you in different ways, and they corrupt you, and you're fed from even from youngsters, propaganda. There's a thing called that the BBC, British Broadcasting Corporation, runs for kids in school called Bite Size, and that starts you off on a whole propaganda from a young age, 5 or 6 years old when you're in school. In the UK, RT, Russia Today, has been taken offline in the first few days of the war.
Right.
I thought that was very irresponsible because they said they're spreading dangerous information and lies, and that's why they can't be on the air. I think that's
Right.
totally ridiculous. Where is freedom of speech? Why don't we let people think how they want to think? instead of controlling what we see. I'm sure RT is already banned in America a long time ago, or and all other discourse is also banned. Even though I don't think RT is everyone has an agenda. I don't think RT is some type of righteous news organization. Everyone has an agenda. I believe just having the opportunity to listen to everyone's views and and perspective is important, but that's been taken away from us. I think and this is the problem. If you don't think like you want, if you're forced to think in a certain way. I'm not sure how it is in the US at the moment, but I'm the 24 hours news network in the US is just unstoppable, and you can't really get any alternative media. And if you do, you'll be ostracized, I believe, right?
Yes, I mean there are exceptions. I thought Colonel McGregor did a good job of explaining the situation. He was on Fox News a couple times.
Even Fox News, man, they are part of the whole system.
I am not promoting Fox News. Fox News is like a broken clock. It's right maybe twice a day because of Tucker Carlson. But otherwise, I'm not promoting any of this type of stuff. I'm saying that there is now an uprising against this in the United States. If you look at Florida, the governor of Florida has basically removed the privileges that were granted to Disney World. And is attacking what you're talking about in the kindergarten and grade school of promoting homosexuality as part of the curriculum. He is attacked. He attacked that. He signed a bill saying that they would not allow that in the Florida schools.
All right.
And Disney immediately said that they were going to work to overthrow that law. And the governor immediately responded by taking away their privileges. So this is a battle between the oligarchs and representative government over who is allowed to control the flow of information.
Well, for as far as I know, Disney, and this is the story regarding, yes, as you mentioned, Florida passed laws that want to protect children from homosexual content and education, and Disney showed opposition to that and just voiced their position. I don't know if they're actively working against this. I'm not sure how much leverage Disney can have on the state, but they just showed opposition to it because they want to present themselves as a progressive liberal institution. And I don't think Disney, Walt Disney himself, if he was still alive, would actually agree with how the company is going down. But that's because his company's been taken over by what. By what? What? You can read my mind or what?
No, tell me the group that took it over.
Why don't you say it? Why don't you say what you believe I'm about to say?
Finish your sentence. Finish your sentence. Who took it over?
Well, from
Michael Eisner.
Yeah, well,
who was he? He was one of the first guy after they took it over. He was the new CEO.
Yes.
Who took it over?
Well, yes, that's one person, and well,
name the group that took it over.
Well, this and I'm hesitating because we live in a world where you'll be shot down. But yeah, I would say it from my perspective. I would say it. No, that's fine. From my
what do you mean you'd be shot down? Aren't we having a frank discussion?
Yeah, we are. Yeah, and I'm gonna get to it in a second, and I'm not even sure if it's the same thing you're thinking about. But anyway, and it's been Disney. From my perspective, Disney and that's been the case for a number of corporations in the US. Started by Gentiles.
So it's not Gentiles who took it over.
No, definitely not. And this has been the case for a group started by Gentiles, been taken over by what I can only describe as, or they might describe themselves as progressive, liberal-minded, reformed. Jewry. That would be the best. That would be the best explanation. Reform Judaism seems to have taken over.
No, it's not that. It's not really a religion. It's an ethnic group. The Jews created Hollywood. Okay, and Disney was always seen as an alien intruder for the entire time he was at Hollywood. First of all, because he was not a Jew, and secondly, because he didn't go along with the type of programming that Jews liked, which is basically promoting blasphemy, obscenity, nudity, and all of the things that got him in trouble by the 1930s when the production code was imposed on them. And that was basically when the Catholics told the Jews what they were allowed to put in movies. So it's been a struggle ever since the beginning of Hollywood. Ever since Disney set foot in Hollywood, there was a battle. If you want to know the full story, subscribe to Culture Wars magazine, because we are going to do a really in-depth analysis of what happened to Disney over these years, and it'll be in the next issue. But basically, this is what happened. And when Walt Disney died, the Jews took it over, and they used that brand, which was associated with wholesome family entertainment, and they used the brand to subvert the very thing that Walt Disney stood for. And that's why we're in this battle royale with Disney representing the homosexuals.
Yeah, right. Well, yes. That's right. Yes, I can agree with most of what you're saying. Now, my issue is that this takeover, and Disney is not the only one. I can point to other organizations. I can, for my assessment, again, like Ford, the Ford Motor Company, um, and other Gentile created companies. What do you are you saying that the jury that's taking over these organizations, they have an agenda pre-planned, or
Yes.
is just how their makeup is, or how they want to subvert some type of
Yes.
society?
Yeah,
Really?
well, I wrote a book on this. It's called The Jewish Revolutionary Spirit.
Yes, I
It's a
heard about
long
it.
book. It's available at fidelitypress.org.
Okay, is it
You
available on
can buy the
Amazon?
book and read it.
Is it available on
It's
Amazon?
do not go to Amazon. Go to fidelitypress.org.
Okay,
Okay,
fidelitypress.org.
do not go to Amazon.
Why
And
is
so
that?
if you read the book, you'll realize that this battle began at the foot of the cross when Jesus Christ arrived on this earth as the Jewish Messiah. At that point, the Jews had to accept him on his terms or reject him. And the Jews who accepted Jesus Christ on his terms are now known as Christians. They are the children of Moses. The Jews who rejected him rejected not only Jesus Christ, the person, he was the Logos incarnate. They rejected Logos when they rejected Jesus Christ. And when you reject Logos, you're rejecting reason and you're rejecting the order of the universe. And those people are called revolutionaries. And that's what the Jews have been ever since they killed Jesus Christ. To this day. That is the conflict about with Disney. That's the heart of the conflict between the state of Florida and Disney.
So the jury, those who you would claim are part of this Judaic conspiracy, they are they they have a revolutionary spirit, as your book mentioned, and this applies to every single thing: sexuality, academia, politics, and even
Yes,
and even to Mickey Mouse or
absolutely.
Disney. Yeah, and really,
Yes,
okay, in regards to and perhaps also an abortion, would you say so?
absolutely.
Right, yeah,
Absolutely.
because from my perspective, I see a lot of people who you might describe to you you might describe as part of a Judaic group that promotes abortion quite a lot in America. But however, in Israel, they don't seem to promote all that. They might also promote homosexuality and all these liberal rights we're seeing. But this is something that's not necessarily promoted in Israel.
So why do the Jews promote abortion and homosexuality?
I have what you claim is because of revolutionary spirits from your book. Is that correct? But but I believe well, if they do, it might be to control or subvert or
Right, because they're promoting it for the majority population because they know this weakens the majority. And whenever the majority is weak, the Jews are strong. They are always a minority. They are 2% of the population can control 98% of the population if they control the media through moral subversion. America is proof of that. What happened since World War II in America is proof that that can happen.
yeah. Well, I can agree with most of what you're saying because this group in particular stifles even before any discourse starts about their control
Right.
over media,
Let me give you an example. Let me give
which
you
is
an
one of the
example.
powers they have. Yeah, go on.
Let me give you an example from Africa. Okay, let's talk about Kenya. Now, are there a lot of Jews in Kenya? No, there are not a lot of Jews there. You think you go over there and you're completely free of all of the forms of control that exist in the United States of America. But then you look around and you think, what's all this clothing lying all over the ground? Do you speak Swahili, by the way?
No, I don't.
Okay, well, anyway, they have a word for it. It's called matumba in Swahili, and it means used clothing.
Yes,
All of East Africa is flooded with used clothing.
yes,
It's obvious
from
that
the
used
West.
clothing,
Yeah,
yeah, obviously, yeah, and it's obvious it's wrecking the economy. And I say that's obvious because all of these East African countries put tariffs on clothing, imported clothing, because they knew it was wrecking the economy. Because you can't plant cotton anymore, you can't make cloth, you can't make clothes because this will undercut everyone's price. So the legislatures were smart enough to do that. They passed the tariffs. Guess what happened then? Guess
what?
what happened?
What happened?
The United States government threatened them with sanctions.
Okay,
Now, this is done by the Secretary of Treasury. Who is the Secretary of Treasury who did this? His name was Mr. Mnuchin.
Manuchin.
He's one
Yes,
of the,
yeah.
yeah, he's one of those people. And why did he do it?
Which
Because
people?
the Jews. Why did he do this? Because the Jewish rag pickers in New Jersey were going to lose their business if these tariffs kicked in.
Rag.
So they controlled the foreign policy of the Americans, and the American foreign policy controls controls domestic production of cloth in Africa.
Really, I'm not familiar with the. I don't know if that's a term. New Jersey rag pickers. Are they a particular group or just a top type of name?
The rag pickers are all Jewish, as far as I can tell. I've documented this book.
Just what is a rag picker? What is a rag picker? Because I'm not too sure. And probably viewers might not be too sure.
Someone who gathers used clothing.
Really?
Now they have Goodwill boxes where you can throw your used clothes, throw that used T-shirt into a Goodwill box, and it will go to a Jewish rag picker in New Jersey, and he will then send it to Africa and wreck the economy there. That's the way it works.
Okay.
This is, by the way, an article in Culture Wars. Everyone should read Culture Wars. The whole story of Matumba is told there in detail, in irrefutable detail.
Right. Okay. All right. And yeah. So you've spoken about and these are I'm not. I wasn't aware of that, but thanks for that. That's an insight. And yes, we can read more about it at culturewars.com. You mentioned that this particular group, who you've spoken quite a bit about, and you've had a lot of flack over the last 40 years or so, are in the minority of wherever they are, but they seem to be quite, but they seem to control or be disproportionately being in most of the offices of power. And this is definitely the case in the United States, and also it's in the UK. I can agree to that. Even talking about it, or claiming that the control over media, Hollywood, policies in the US will be immediately shot down and labeled anti-Semitic, right? And
Right.
if anyone searches your name on the internet, as you say, and especially according to the Anti-Defamation League in the United States, which is an organization that claims to defend freedoms and identifies those who who they claim are proponents of discrimination and hatred, right? They would say you're anti-Semite. I don't really understand this term, because a Semite doesn't only refer to Jews. There must be at least 300 or 400 million Semites in the world. These are Arabs, Bedouins, and Jews make up maybe 20 million of those.
Jews are not Semites.
Yeah, if they are,
Semites.
if they claim, especially especially Ashkenazis who are a
The
bit.
Ashkenazi are not Semites.
Yeah,
They're
okay.
Turkic.
Yeah.
They're Turkic people.
Khazars.
This is according to the Genome Project. It was reported in National Geographic.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the first problem.
Yeah, right. Okay, yeah. Well, anyway, let's say, for instance, we go along with what they say, that they are Semites. They are Semites. In fact, they're the only Semites, which if you go along with this term, this then makes them use this as a weapon against everyone. Now, I question, and this is what we're going to move to. I question their claims over their identity, or who what even makes a Jew, and they use this to claim their what they believe is their rights to the state of Israel, or the land of Israel, or the land that makes up Israel Palestine. No one can dispute that Jews, people who refer to themselves as Jews, lived in that particular region even before 1948, even while the British Empire was still in charge. But obviously after World War II, a huge influx from especially Eastern Europe, and they would describe themselves as Ashkenazi Jews, have flooded into Israel.
Yeah, so who gave the rights of these people from Poland to take over?
Yeah, I have no idea, and I don't know, and also from Ukraine.
Interesting.
Yeah,
it's interesting because the Ukraine is the traditional home of Jews.
Yeah,
The tradition was Khazaria back in the Middle Ages, and then it became the Pale of the Settlement.
Yes, that's right.
At the time of when it was in Poland, and it remained that way even after it became part of Russia.
Yeah.
So these people do not come. They have no right to go to Palestine and take away people's property.
Yeah. Oh well, yes. And Khazaria, for those who don't know, was a land of the Khazars, which stretched across the Russian Empire, with modern day Russia, Poland, Ukraine, and most of people who
It was only on the western border of the Russian Empire. It didn't go far east.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
What the Ukraine is now.
Ukraine, Western Russia, that's right. Poland.
And it went farther north, all the way up to Lithuania.
Yeah, Poland, Latvia, that area. And these are people who we would describe, or they would describe themselves as Ashkenazi Jews, right?
Right.
I'm not sure where they got that term from. I used to follow quite a great.
German. It means German in Yiddish.
That's right. Okay.
Yiddish is a German language. It's
Yeah.
a Germanic language.
Yeah, and well, someone who I really admired, Eustace Mullins. I'm not sure if you knew about him.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was even more vilified than you are. Said, they took that Ashkenazi name because of the Nazi in them, because they were actually he according to him, Nazism, socialism, communism, and Reform Judaism is all one thing, but with different heads, and they took that Ashkenazi name because he had Nazi in him. I'm not sure if he was joking about this, but this is something he in one of his podcasts he did when he was alive. But anyway, with this Ashkenazi Jews, whom are spread across the world now, and interestingly and ironically, a lot from Ukraine, as you've mentioned, they've come to Palestine. They went also to Western Europe and also to America, and now we're left in a state where those who were on the land of that we say Israel Palestine right now, which is the Palestinian Mandate, are being pushed out on a daily basis, and slowly, I believe Israel's intention is to basically take over the whole pie and leave They banded around a one-state solution during Donald Trump's time in power, because I believe they wanted they want basically the Palestinians to live as second tier, not even citizens, but just subjects really in what is Israel, and that is why I believe they promoted, especially Donald Trump's administration, which was heavily, I believe, Jewish controlled, banded around the one-state solution. The Palestinians are in a tough place because they have a formidable enemy from all sides, and this enemy is controlling a powerful country. This is the United States, and I don't really see a way that they can be delivered from their subjugation. What is your perspective on just what I've talked about, and also this Israel-Palestine issue, and the Jewish revolutionary spirit in relation to this, as you usually mention?
Yeah, well, in the Pale of the Settlement, toward the 19th century, there were two ideologies that spread through the Jewish settlements, and one was Jewish internationalism, and that would be communism, and the other one was Jewish nationalism, and that was Zionism.
That's correct. Yeah.
And they fought back and forth in the early 20th century. Communism was much more dominant among Jews than Zionism. That changed in '67 with the Arab-Israeli War, and now after the fall of communism, it's the dominant expression of Jewish belief at this point in time. But they're both expressions of the Jewish revolutionary spirit. They're really not that different from each other.
But what is the end goal? What is the end goal? Tell me, from this Jewish revolutionary spirit. What is the end goal? What is the end point? What do they want to achieve? What do they want to achieve?
They want to rule the world.
Really? Are they already there, or they are not yet?
Don't count your chickens before they're hatched. So at the moment of greatest triumph, they tend to have their greatest downfall. And that's probably what's going to happen now with the decline of the American empire.
Yeah.
They had total control over the foreign policy of the late American empire, and now the empire has hit a rock, and that rock is not going to move. And what we're going to see now across the board, Ukraine as foreign policy, abortion as domestic policy, this is coming to an end. And I think that's why the Jews are becoming so violent at this point. They sense that they had this was better than the Paradisus Judaeorum in Poland, and now it's collapsing, and they're unhappy, and they're looking for someone to punish.
Right, really. Well, you mentioned a few moments ago and about Victoria, is it Newland? Is that her name?
Yeah.
Yeah. She's also someone who's I believe that's not even her real name anyway, her last name. But she's that's right. That's correct. These a lot of people in America seem to change their names. Garland, I believe, is your Attorney General. Garfinkel, I think, was his real name.
Right.
John Kerry, John Kuhn, I believe he was. Anyway. Especially to Newland, I believe I do recall her. You mentioned her a few minutes ago. She was in Ukraine, I believe, from the onset of the revolution in 2013 or 14, and she hasn't really left the pictures all these years. And now, in 2018, I believe 2019, Zelensky was elected into power. And he's also a Jewish man. The prime minister is also Jewish. And he's supported by a Jewish oligarch called Zolomonsky, I believe, is his name, who apparently stole $5 billion from the Ukrainian bank to acquire his riches. Now,
Kolomoisky is his name.
You know about him, right?
Kolomoisky, yeah.
All right, you know about him. Okay, I don't know too much about him. Maybe you can enlighten us more. But my interpretation or view is that this Christian country, Ukraine, I believe is Christian, Orthodox Christian, same as the Russian Orthodoxy, even though they split up a few years ago due to this conflict, which actually might be the end goal of this revolutionary spirit you believe is attacking the whole world. and in particular is focused on Ukraine at the moment, to split and they achieved in splitting the Ukrainian and Russian churches, Orthodox churches. Now the Ukraine and Russia are at war with each other. And still, the foreign policy of the United States is to support, and Victoria Nuland has been in the foreign committee, as she's been in a committee meeting, I don't know which one it was, promoting the support that we need to give to Ukraine. And I believe just a few hours ago, the Congress passed a $40 billion dollar package for Ukraine just a few hours ago. Now, where the US is pumping so much money, number one, I'm not too sure where they're getting it from. My interpretation is that the US is either near bankruptcy or already bankrupt some time ago, and is on life support, and is printing money out of nowhere. And as you mentioned, this is leading to the decline of the empire. You might like to elaborate more why you believe that the empire is declining or has already declined. But this money that is being pumped into Ukraine and all these weapons, is it because that America loves or the foreign policy controllers love Ukraine and they want to support Ukraine, or is it because they hate Russia and they want to crush Russia, or they want to make Russia bleed, and or they just want chaos? They just want chaos. They don't particularly want anyone to win. They just want chaos in that region. What do you think is the goal number one of this Congress, which are just full of lackeys from my perspective? But what do you think is the end goal of the people, the puppet masters behind Congress, and people who you might refer to in your books?
The people you mentioned, Nuland, Blinken, the Secretary of State, Zelensky, it's basically a Jewish cabal that is using the Ukrainian people to destroy Russia. That's the goal. The goal is to conquer Russia. And they're doing this. The Jews have an interest here because they have an ancestral hatred for Russia.
Why is that?
Because they come from there, and they heard stories of the pogroms from their grandparents, which began toward the late 19th century, when the Jewish communists turned into terrorists and they murdered the Tsar. At that point, the Russian people reacted, and a lot of Jews left, and they came to the United States. And over the course of the 20th century, they took over the government in the United States.
Right.
So that's what's going on.
Okay,
here.
you just
this has been an interesting discussion. We've been at it for over an hour, and I have to call it quits at this point.
Oh, really? Oh, sorry. Dr. E. Michael Jones, I didn't. Of course, you have somewhere to go. Yes, I understand.
Yes, I have someplace to go.
All right. Well, perhaps we can pick this up another time.
I'd be happy to talk to you again.
It's been a pleasure. Just referencing what you just mentioned, I believe you referenced the Bolshevik Revolution a second ago, in Russia. I believe you were just referencing that, for viewers who didn't catch that. But this has been Dr. E. Michael Jones, former lecturer at South Bend University.
No, I'm the editor of Culture Wars magazine. And I am I write books for fidelitypress.org.
That's right, yeah.
And you can get those books or magazines by going online to culturewars.com or fidelitypress.org.
Yeah, that's right. I was saying former lecturer at South Bend. Yeah, okay. And we've had a pleasure. It's been a pleasure speaking to you, and I hope to speak to you and continue this, because I was getting quite excited where we were going to lead to. But yeah, perhaps we can pick this up another time. Thank you so much for your time and for your insights. And definitely go to culturewars.com and look at Dr. Jones's work. Is there anything else you want to say finally, Dr. Jones?
No, that's it.
All right. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
And I hope to see you
Thank
again
you.
soon. Okay. Bye-bye.
My pleasure.
Bye.